I like to say that I'm not in the leadership business, I'm in the freedom business. Because when a leader catches steam, when a leader catches momentum, when we realize that our identity is not at stake because who we are matters more than what we do, suddenly there's freedom on the other side. And leadership is a whole lot more fun and a whole lot more enjoyable, more fulfilling, more meaningful, all the things when we don't feel like we are performing for our life.
We get it. You're busy. You want to grow, and we want to help. You're passionate about your craft because it deeply matters to you. Your faith is important. It's your foundation. At Stay Forth, we coach leaders to avoid burnout, live and lead with clarity, purpose, and from a place of health. We want you to experience long-term impact. Welcome to the journey.
Hey friends, welcome back to the H2 Summer Series. We always want to take very common offenders or common issues, challenges, obstacles, opportunities. We talk about the hard stuff here, but the things that if you push through these things, there is life on the other side. I like to say that I'm not in the leadership business, I'm in the freedom business. Because when a leader catches steam, when a leader catches momentum, when we realize that our identity is not at stake because who we are matters more than what we do, suddenly there's freedom on the other side. And leadership is a whole lot more fun and a whole lot more enjoyable, more fulfilling, more meaningful, all the things when we don't feel like we are performing for our life. And this is another one of those episodes. I think it's really important. And we're talking about being emotionally present. Being emotionally present. Like when I'm teaching, I can feel it. When I feel like I need to perform for these people, I need to make this amazing, versus my best gift to them today is to be present with them, to listen well, to ask questions. It's completely different. It's like in one, I am with them. In the other, I feel like I am above them and I have to perform for them. Friends, leadership is not a performance. This is us being present with people in the good, in the hard. This is us ultimately serving other people. And I think it's really, really important to realize that we will become unhealthy, period, if we are just trying to perform for other people. This is not about performance. This is about service. And in order to serve people well, we actually need to be with them.
So, Alan, there's something that you do, and this is a heavy episode. I'm just going to be honest with people. This is a heavy episode that's going to really make you, be honest with yourself. It is convicting because when we look at emotional presence and leadership performance, you have to ask yourself, well, if I'm more performative in what I do vocationally, how much of that is true in my spiritual life and in my family life and in my interpersonal life?
How many times am I with my family but scrolling on my phone? Am I with my family at dinner but thinking about my day in that? This is a tough one for me.
This is a topic that was really hit home for me too, and it was like a catalyst for a lot of restructuring. But there's something that you do, and I really appreciate it, that you regularly, sort of keep yourself in check or to audit yourself when it comes to emotional presence. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Every week, I pull out my right side up journal. So you can find this on Amazon. So it looks like this for most people if you're watching over on YouTube. It's gray, beautiful, but I have this awesome leather sleeve that it's in.
So there is a digital version of it too for people that have a Remarkable or an iPad.
Grab in the show notes, but just head to Amazon, type in right side up journal, and you'll get it. It's compounding interest for me. I use it every day, but probably the most important leadership exercise of my week, maybe just life exercise, is my weekly audit. And at the end of the week, we have 3 different pages, and you get the opportunity at the end of the week, I'm pulling it up here, to literally analyze backward and look back and say, what unfinished business do I have? What are some notable events? And without exception, I always have more to celebrate than I think. And crucial conversations, biggest steps I took. And there's one, healthy decisions that I made. And in this healthy decisions block, it's always like, I stopped work at this time and went to be with my family. Or I dropped everything to be with this friend who's hurting right now, because that actually matters more in life than me getting another project done or a couple more emails knocked out. and moments or blessings to thank God for. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't even remember what happened last week. And I actually look back at the week. The next one is then I look within and say, how am I doing? How am I actually doing? And am I, trying to perform or push through or kind of shutting down my kids by being busy or whatever that is, and I get to journal through those, and then I literally turn the page and I get to look ahead at the next week, and I get to set up for success ahead of time in advance before the whirlwind hits. And we have 3 different pages for you to do that in, but that's 30, maybe max 45 minutes for me, and it's so centering and grounding. Do I ever hit a week 100%? Of course not. That's not the goal. Then the goal is not perfection, but it's progress, where it's like, okay, if I could name it last week, I can feed back, then I can feed forward this week. And actually, when I get to the end of a journal every 3 months, I actually do the exact same thing, but I lift up in macro. And I do that in different areas of my life and say, like, are the things I'm chasing after really that important? And sometimes they really are. Where like one of the big things for me is I'm running a 5K with my son, and he's never done like a challenge race. And so he's getting up and he's working out, he's running. And a couple of days ago, he's like, hey, Dad, I'm going to go for a run. Me too. Let's do it. And so that was a really special moment where he ran the furthest without stopping that he had before. We're training together for this race that we'll have this next month, which is awesome. So those audits actually help me be more emotionally present because I plan in advance and I make sure I plan breaks and gaps. And sometimes I go, man, my evenings are going to be really important. And my to-don't list is don't add any more meetings. So I know it feels strange to plan for emotional presence, but I would just say, friends, if we don't, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're just going to go get on our devices. We're just going to go fill it up with one more task, do more yard work. And so for me, Jonathan, this has been the way that I combat busyness, the way that I combat overachieving, and ultimately the way that I stay really present with God. I plan dates with Julie, and that's incredibly important for us to stay connected. And I plan little adventures and times with my kids.
It's awesome. And for me, it's a reminder of, it keeps me from tipping into unhealthy performity. Because I do like achieving things, but I know that that's not, that's just a fruit of being emotionally present, right? I think the more emotionally present you are with yourself and your team, the more your performance is going to improve authentically. And just knowing when, I think this hits me really hard. I can remember giving a talk. I had been asked to give a talk at this leadership gathering, and there was like 30 people in the room, and I had written out what I was going to say and whatnot. And like, it was in a really tumultuous period of my life. And I was like, all right, I can go up here and give this. And I remember sitting there and I was like, this is not what they need. And this is not what I need. And so what they need is just like in the moment, what's happening right now. And it was just to go not off script, but just to take the thing that I was like, this is going to be amazing. It's going to have so many zingers and the room's going to be transformed. It's going to be awesome. And then just realize that's fake, because I'm going to have to be fake in this moment. And then just talk. And to this day, it's probably one of the most, like, it being emotionally aware and emotionally present in that moment and deciding to say, hey, I'm going to take a shift and just do this way. The impact on the other side of it was, I have to believe, was way more transformative than just getting up and trying to force something and be like, oh, I'm here, but I'm not really. So I think that's the other side of it. It's learning how to be with those you lead and serve, but on the other way, like, I don't want to be something fake to them, and having freedom to show up who you are, which we model well organizationally. We have the freedom when we have our team meetings to say, hey, I want to know how you're doing right now. Because it's one thing when you have to be on and perform, like, you have to perform sometimes, but there's needs to be a freedom and a culture to show up and be like, hey, you know what? I'm like a 5 out of 10 right now. Today's just not a great day. And instead of just wearing subtitles on your face,
Yeah, there's this phrase called emotional contagion, and it's literally, our emotions are contagious to other people. We know that. And this question that's wrecked me and a lot of other leaders is, what's it like to be on the other side of me? Or what's it like to lead on the other side of me? And man, when I show up 5 minutes behind and I'm stressed, frustrated, insecure, whatever, that's going to come out. That's why it's so important that we're grounded before the day begins, because we rub off on our kids, we rub off on our teams. And this emotional contagion, a friend of mine, Steve Cuss, friend of the podcast, awesome author, thought leader, incredible content. He has this phrase: "This is the most anxious person in the room is the most powerful person in the room." Think about it. I mean, it's the person that they keep speaking up, the squeaky wheel over there, and you want to just go, "Hey, did you not get enough sleep tonight?" Or like leave that at home, because they brought that in the room, and now we sort of all our blood pressure goes up a little bit more. Our attitude and our emotions cascade down to others, and it's hard to see in the moment maybe when we've done that, and maybe you can have little checks with your team. I remember one of my teammates, it wasn't Jonathan, one day just kind of came in and was like, "Whoa, you're coming in hot today. What's going on?" And it wasn't scolding this person. It was just like, "Are you okay?" And I just wanted them to notice, I see this and it's okay. And actually, they needed to just take a few minutes and just pause and to say, "It's all right," because we're not walking into a rush. You can take a few minutes if you need. Sometimes I'll say, "Jonathan, I need like 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes before we start." And that's because I don't want to walk straight in from recording one thing to recording another, or straight in from a meeting to another. And so that's another thing that we can be cautious of. Sometimes, guys, we just need 3, 4, 5, 7 minutes to just breathe, walk outside, and get grounded. It could be that simple in order to be emotionally present in our next meeting, because we're bringing all kinds of stuff in from home, all kinds of disappointment. Maybe there was a wreck, in the road there, and you're 5 minutes late. And maybe there was a wreck, and you're like, "I can't, I saw something with this person that I just can't unsee, and I'm shaken by it." That's okay. Get ourselves grounded. And I think in micro, we need to take moments to do this. Friends, in macro, like every week. This is why Sabbath matters. This is why Sabbath matters. The motor's got to stop spinning at some point. And I don't know how we could stay emotionally present without taking a day a week, completely out of email, completely out of responsibilities and task lists, because I think that's part of it. Is actually, it's on us. It's not Jonathan's responsibility to slow me down and make sure that I'm emotionally present coming in. That is my responsibility that I wholeheartedly own. And if I don't live up to that, then I actually rub off on the whole team.
But I do say it like it's not individual's responsibility on a team, but I do think there is a level of agency to say, to like feel freedom to say, "Hey, are you good today? Like I noticed this, or I see this, so, and I just want to let you know, like,
Yeah, we can partner for sure.
like it's not someone else's responsibility to make sure you're doing okay. But if someone notices something, I think, they should have the agency to speak up and say, "Hey, I see this. Like, are you doing all right?"
Yeah. And sometimes the emotions we're avoiding, it's not working very well for us. That's actually one of the reflection questions we want to kind of poke at, is around that. If I feel like there's so much negativity in the world right now, right? Let's just politics. There's a lot of uncertainty. What is going on in the world, in our country? And if I just bury my head in the sand and like, don't think about politics, it can actually have the reverse effect that I want it to. And so while I don't spend much time in the news, I need to call a spade a spade. And that there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of uncertainty right now. And I can only control this much of it. And so avoidance actually forces us to then bring our emotions into other gatherings, other spaces, other groups. And so we're not talking about avoidance here. We're actually talking a lot about acceptance, and maybe a lot about, you may need to grieve through something, reflect through something. And so we want to draw you into your private work. And that includes reflection questions here. And that's one reason questions matter so much, is because we have to do our work privately, so then we can show up really well to others publicly.
That's what these questions are for. And so before we get into those, just know that you've got to have space for emotional processing. You've got to have space to discern, to think, to if someone brings something to you, to then, process, to think about it, to then come up with a response. Like Alan said at the beginning, to look back, to then process inward, then activate forward. You have to give yourself a place to do it. It's not going to happen unless you schedule it. So really sit with these two questions. And I know this was a heavy episode. It was very convicting, But these questions are crucial in helping you move towards becoming more of a healthier and someone with higher impact leadership. So how present am I emotionally with those I lead? How present am I emotionally with those that I lead? And then second, what emotions have I been avoiding? What emotions have I been avoiding?
Friends, do the work. Do the work. Do the reflection work. Do the work sitting with these questions. And you may even ask somebody that question, what's it like to be on the other side of me? What's it like to lead on the other side of me? And I promise, even if the answers are prickly, that if you ask people that you love, that they truly do want that for you, and they're going to be honest with you. So invite people in deeper. Sometimes we just need to hold a mirror up and let other people hold a mirror up to us so that we can truly get a reflection of what it's like. And the emotional work, friends, has always been hard for me to do. And once we do it, I've always been grateful. Kind of like a hard conversation with my wife or with a friend. I don't love walking into it or even being in it, but I'm so glad and feel closer on the other side of it. That's what we want, is for you to lead well, to serve well, and ultimately for your presence to be connecting you to other people. So they feel loved, they feel cared for, they feel generous, and ultimately that you are serving them deeply. That's what we want, friends. We are servant leaders here. We want you to live healthy and to have the highest possible sustainable impact that you can. Guys, we're going to keep having great episodes coming your way. Catch us next week for another great episode here on Stay Forward Leadership Podcast.